Who is our mystery guest today?
Scoop B! What's going on, fellas?
Hello, sir.
Scoop B, how we doing?
I'm hanging in. How you guys doing?
Man, I'm doing
Good to see you
wonderful.
again.
This is an awesome mystery guest.
Really
Shout out to the man, Scoop B, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we definitely, as Katie gave us hints, she told us we both follow him on Twitter for sure. I'm always watching for his takes, especially anything to do with the Brooklyn Nets. That man is plugged in on what is going on.
And he was in Chicago recently towards the end of last season, had some great stuff with Billy and with Vooch, and it was good to catch up with you then. How'd you get roped into this?
Shout out to Tony Gill. Tony texted me the other day and connected me to Katie, and he said that you guys had a mystery guest, and I, as they say in the church, I thought it not robbery to come in and sit down with you all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Bro, we are very happy that you're here, man. Thank you for stopping by. And since you're here, let's ask you some questions about the Chicago Bulls, because he shed tears, I've shed tears, Matt Peck has shed tears and thrown hats over this team. What do you think just about the overall future of this Chicago Bulls team? They've switched up what they did in the first half of the season, traded Zach LaVine, getting rid of those guys. They've gone younger. Josh Giddy is going to get his contract and things this year. Some Bulls fans are just not really high on what they have. Others think that there is real, true potential in this future. What are your feelings about the Chicago Bulls?
Well, I'll tell you what, there's more to life than the viral sensation of Josh Giddy calling to say goodnight. When I look at just this team overall, I think it's a time of growth. I spent some time with Kobe after hours, and we talked about just the direction of the team. And one of the things that Kobe shared with me was that despite the fact that both he and Zach LaVine are no longer teammates, Zach LaVine's father still sends Kobe notes about his gameplay. So despite the fact that LaVine is no longer there still is a LaVine who is watching on League Pass and taking notes. And the guys genuinely want to be there. Vooch has been a guy that has been a topic of conversation. I know at the deadline, the Warriors were a team that were looking into his services, and that could continue in the future. We'll see. But there are guys that literally want to be there. Zach Collins has intimated to me. I've covered his career since he was the day before he was drafted, and he feels like he's in a good place. He likes Billy, and he likes just his candor and his ability to get down to business. I think that unfortunately and fortunately, the Bulls faithful want to see some results. I think for many years we've gone from Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen winning multiple championships, and then Eddie Curry and Tyson Chandler coming in, and Derrick Rose being successful, and then injuries, kind of being an issue. And there's always been this expectation, but there's been no delivery or results. I don't agree with Kobe White being shipped out for Kuminga. I really do think that he is the heart and soul and homegrown talent that is the Chicago Bulls, if you will. Kind of like with baseball, when you look at the Yankees in the 90s, I know this is a Chicago market, New York market is my home, but when you look at the Yankees and you look at how they built homegrown talent, whether that was the farm system, guys like Bernie Williams, David Cone, Derek Jeter, and others, you built a system over time. And I really like this young group of guys that like to be there.
What do you kind of anticipate happens with Josh Giddy? I mean, I tend to agree that this is kind of the young core that they're working with, but just in terms of the contract, obviously you're out in the New York area. Brooklyn is a team that is potentially going to have cap space, may look to throw an offer sheet. Do you think he sticks around in Chicago, or do you think some other teams might get competitive for his services?
I mean, he's saying all the right things. I have not heard Brooklyn as a name for Josh Giddy, so no, I can't surmise that is a team, but I would imagine there are some teams. I think, his time in Oklahoma, I really do think that Oklahoma and Chicago made the moves that were best for both of their agenda, with Caruso coming to, Oklahoma and being the defensive stopper that they needed, and Giddy getting a fresh start for himself, his name, and just his future. And I think that he's proven on the basketball court that he needs the money, or he is deserving of the money. We all need money, but he is deserving of the money that he seeks. And so I wouldn't be surprised that there are some teams. I think there are teams out there that definitely will look. But I just look at him as a Bull.
What was your opinion on the Josh Giddy trade? Were you okay with just the two guys in the transaction, or do you think the Bulls should have gotten a little bit more on that end for as high valued Alex Caruso was at that time?
I kind of was looking at it more from who else was on that team, like how Giddy was going to flow with Kobe, was going to flow with Lonzo if healthy, and how that was going to flow with LaVine. And a lot of those questions were answered. LaVine was gone, and Lonzo is still finding his way. And I think that, and I'm being gracious when I say that. I mean, it sucks to see Lonzo Ball be in this predicament, because they really built that Chicago Bulls team with Lonzo, with Kobe, with Vooch, with LaVine, and with DeRozan in mind to really be competitive. Like, I think one of the biggest what ifs is, what if Lonzo was healthy, and what if so much of the playmaking wasn't doled out to LaVine, who is, you know, a point forward and combo guard at the same time. Like, he was literally like the president, the vice president, the governor, the executive board, Doge, everything in between. And, you know, it was a situation where, you know, he got tired. He wanted to go elsewhere. And I think what opened up for him was the opportunity, meaning Giddy, to really be successful at just playing his game. I think that when you looked at Oklahoma was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's team. And I think that Alex Caruso is, for Oklahoma, what they thought Giddy was going to be. And I have often felt that for Oklahoma, that was the biggest transaction of the offseason last year. And I said that back then, like, Hartenstein and Giddy coming to Oklahoma was the biggest situation. As it relates to what it looks like at home, maybe they could have got more, but here we are now.
Turning from draft picks in the past to draft pick in the future and the present here, what do you think about the Bulls at 12? Hearing anything? Just give you a chance to kind of go on the draft.
Well, I know that, and I was in the chat. I was in the green room listening to you guys talk about Ace Bailey. I covered Rutgers extensively last season, and I know that there are many experts who are kind of debating Ace Bailey's future and where he'll be. I can tell you that I'll stick there because I know that it's a trending topic in Chicago. I will say that I know that Utah has called quite a bit about Ace, and there are some reports that I saw today about his stat dropping because of his interview and just where people perceive him to be. I've had conversations with folks in the know for the last couple of months, and they feel as though the draft is not going to go as many people think it's going to go past 3. And I'd love to see a scenario where he goes to a Chicago or Utah. I know that, you know, you look at 1 and 2, you kind of know who they are. I've reported extensively on 2. But I think with Bailey, I think Chicago will be a great place for Bailey to grow. And I'll be even more specific. Will, you made mention of my conversation with Billy Donovan a couple months ago, and him talking about guys who are winners and guys who are, you know, really locked in. And that kind of goes, in my opinion, with where Ace would fit. Young talent knowing how to be ready in the moment. And I really think that if he drops that far down, Chicago will be the perfect place for him. But outside of that, I think that many of the general audience is still kind of getting acclimated with who else is out there besides Dylan Harper, Edgecombe, Ace Bailey, and others. I think that this draft is so wide open, and I wonder if it's going to. We look back maybe 5 years from now and be like, "Wow, this was a deep draft after all."
Yeah,
But
totally agree with
I'd
that.
like to see Ace Bailey go to Chicago.
Yes, you and I both, sir. I absolutely would love to see that for sure. Is there, speaking of your idea that this may go down as a deep draft, is there a player in this draft that you just are completely in love with? Like, for me, it's Cedric Coward. Like, that is my guy. I love Cedric Coward. I would love for the Bulls to take him if they don't trade up to get a guy like Ace Bailey. Is there another guy like that for you in this draft?
Not off the top of my head, but if I may, they say you're not supposed to read the comments. I'm cheating. I'm reading the comments, and someone said in the comments, the Shy said Ace Bailey is better than P. Will. Not going to lie. I still think that Patrick Williams is another one of those guys where his story and his connectivity to Chicago, as one of, honestly, as young as he is, he's still such a big fabric to the organization for so long. You don't replace a P. Will at all. I think that when you look at the Bulls and you look at just their trajectory, not named Levine, not named Kobe, he's been part of that process. I think sometimes people say things and throw comparisons just because of names, because it sounds good. Ace is still going to be a guy that you're going to have to grow with, and that's just from watching him up close. Like, I know people sometimes make comparisons. Like, I remember people were saying, they were talking about Tracy McGrady and comparing him to Tracy, and I asked Tracy. Tracy actually was at a Rutgers game, and I asked him if he saw the comparison. He goes, no. He goes, stop throwing names out just because somebody's tall and lanky. And I said, who does he compare to? And he looked at me and said, I'm not telling you. And he still hasn't told me. I think that the one thing about the draft is, I think we use the draft. I think we have such an expectations for players. We use the draft like the GOAT conversation and how many rings somebody has. And I think these are still young kids. And I think the beauty in the draft is you may win, you may lose. And that's like picking a girlfriend. That's like picking a wife. That's like picking a car, a used car, or a car with certified pre-owned mileage on it. Like, I think the Bulls are in such a good position. Like, as a young team, I'm excited for their future.
I think one of the things that, in terms of being excited about the future, like people are looking forward to, is maybe how you can draw comparisons to what the Pacers have done, and just their trajectory as a young team, some of the trades that they made, obviously the play style, getting up and down, playing just incredibly physically with high intensity. So just curious about like your take on these finals and the Eastern Conference landscape in general. I mean, do you feel like it's as open as some people seem to think, or do you think that there still is a lot of high level talent, even though maybe the Celtics take a bit of a step back next year? The Cavs didn't make it as far as they would have wanted to.
Well, I think your analogy of your observation rather of the Pacers and the Thunder is astute, because they literally built both teams like a college team. I think the only difference with the Pacers in my mind is they made that Siakam move, which I think was a game changer, because he had a championship pedigree. And I think what stands out specifically about the Pacers is not only did you have Siakam, you traded to get Halliburton. Halliburton was almost a 76er. He was almost shipped from Sacramento to Philadelphia in a Ben Simmons move a couple of years ago. Tobias Harris would have been included, but it's really fascinating to see the Pacers build, and not just build, but literally David to every major team's Goliath. Like, I don't think we give enough credence to the fact that the Pacers knocked out the Bucks, the Cavaliers, and the New York Knicks. The Pacers are the epitome of that fifth cup of wine at the holiday party that sneaks up on you, and it's like, boom, it's time to order an Uber. I think for the Thunder, it was a lot more deliberate. I think the Pacers came out of nowhere to use that fifth cup of wine at the holiday party. Like, the Thunder were building based upon, from the time they traded Paul George, they were building in 2019. And I think bringing in Coach Mike, I think bringing in drafting Chet Holmgren, I believe maintaining the contract of Lou Dort, drafting Jalen Williams. Like, this is a repeat of what the Thunder did when they drafted Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Kevin Durant, in the juxtaposition between the Sonics and the Thunder. I think, in answer to your question about the East, I can say that there are people who are stars who are looking at the East and looking to make moves. If you've paid attention to my reporting specifically about Giannis and his desire to stay East, I was probably the first or one of the first to talk about the Toronto Raptors. Toronto was looking to make moves in the Eastern Conference, and they are looking towards the future and have assets to do so while also building in the current with young players. That's the move now. It's interesting. I'll be dropping something later this week with Hall of Famer Michael Cooper, and I asked him if the Lakers were a super team during the Showtime era Lakers, and he said yes, and it was because they built through the draft and built around Kareem and built around Magic and built around himself and Byron Scott. And I look at the Thunder similarly. They built around a team. There's a chance that the Thunder could literally name, or the NBA could vote Jalen Williams as the NBA Finals MVP if they win. And I think that's significant because everybody's on the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander bandwagon. I think for the Eastern Conference, it is wide open. It reminds me so much of when LeBron left the Eastern Conference to go to the West to play for the Lakers. There's a lot of shifting going on right now. Not to bore you with just words, but I do think that the Eastern Conference has a lot of creativity for people to make things happen.
School, thank you for joining us. We'll get you out of here on this one. Actually, it's two questions. One, who do you have winning this NBA final, sir? Do you think it's going to go Game 7? And do you have any other tidbits or nuggets you could drop about the Chicago Bulls as far as who they're looking at in free agency, and is their name coming up and trading up to get a draft or trading down?
I haven't heard anything about the Chicago Bulls. I'll get to the nuts and bolts and nitty gritty first. I haven't heard anything about the Bulls. As far as the first question you asked, you asked me about
the finals. Yes, sir.
Every show that I've been on, I'm going to say this, and I've said it consistently. The answer is I don't know. And the reason why I don't know is for everything that I described about the Pacers. They are that fifth cup of wine. And I think that for Oklahoma, they are the fan favorite. And I just think that as a basketball lifer, taking what I do as far as news and just information, I just like good basketball. And I think that a lot of people just thought this was going to be a boring series, and it's been the exact opposite. And so for it to go 7 games, I'd love to see it because I think they're playing just harmonious, poetic, and synchronous. I think that's a word. Synchromatic basketball that I think is good to watch. And it's young people, not named LeBron and Steph Curry.
True. You can follow him on Twitter at ScoopB. This was an awesome guest, a really awesome, wonderful surprise, man, to have you on here, man.
Great to have you on,
We definitely love you and respect what you do and how long you've been doing it, man. So really appreciate you coming on. We'd love to have you back another time for sure.
Listen, thank you for the opportunity to be myself, and I'm here. I get to take off the suit now and relax.
Hey, man, next time you're on, no need to be wearing a suit. We're wearing shorts and T-shirts today.
It's cool. You look great, though.
You look great.
But
get comfortable.
Thank you. Oh, I'm going to do that now. Come on now.
All right, Scoop. Thanks for joining us, bro.
Thank you, gentlemen.